Anyway, I'm getting off the tail about cigarettes. This is the story I'm telling you. It's about the quandary I found myself in, really, with cigarettes. I was I could talk all night on this. What made it worse, I was in a pit. I was paired up at that time with a fella who was very nervous, and he was a chain smoker when he could get them. So half my cigarettes went to him because I couldn't sit there at one side of the pit, especially when there was shelling or something going on, and he'd smoked all his bloody cigarettes, and I was puffing away at my cigarette, and I might put a cigarette out 2 or 3 times. I was satisfied I'd have a few puffs and put it out. Well, he didn't do that. He'd smoke them right through to the bloody soggy end, you know. So I used to say, Richie, we called him, his name was Richardson. Here, Richie, have a cigarette. So as I say, that was part of my desperation, and I got that short that in the end I wrote to my mother and asked if she could start sending these concession cigarettes out, which she did. But I should say about Richie as well, that what got me was that I'd be in a pit with him, and the ground, as I say in Burma, most of it was either shaly or rocky, and he'd be sat in the corner of the trench, I'd be sat facing him in the other corner when the shelling or something was going on, and he was a bag of bloody nerves. And so what had happened, his helmet used to his head started shaking, and his helmet used to rattle. The rim of the helmet was scraping against the shale in the trench, you see, on the side of the trench, and it got to be unbearable for me. It was setting me off, you see what I mean? It started off with just a couple of shakes, and it got bloody worse, and it was a continuous bloody rattle, this bloody helmet against the shale of the trench. So I used to throw him a cigarette, you see. Oh Christ almighty, I had to do something to calm his nerves. He'd have driven me mad. Anyway, the tale is, if this tape will bloody run out, was that one day in the dark we arrived in a village in Burma, and I put my hand up on a shelf above there were just wooden slat beds. That's the way the villagers and the Burmese and the Japanese used to build the bunks, and everybody used to keep together on a long bamboo slat bed, you know. I put my hand up, and on the shelf I felt what appeared to be a pipe. So I took it outside, and it was a pipe, but it was a pipe that somebody had started to make. Somebody probably as bloody desperate as me for a smoke, and they'd started to fashion this pipe, and they'd almost completed it. The stem and the bowl were nicely carved, but there were no holes in it, you see. There wasn't a hole through the stem, and there was no hole in the bowl. It was just a solid piece of wood in the shape of a pipe. So I went, you never knew how long you're going to stay in a place, you see. You might be off in a couple of hours, you might be off on the minute, and you might be there for 2 or 3 days, or even a couple of weeks. So I took a chance, and the next day I went into the village, and I found a bloke who somebody had put me on to, a native Burmese, and he was in a little shed, and he had a windlass affair and a little drill. He had a sharp drill point, and it was like a bow and arrow, the thing he used. I can't really describe it now. He had the drill point was attached to a piece of bamboo, you see, about 1 foot long, and on this bamboo he wrapped his cord, you see, like a shoelace. And so he had the 2 ends. He had a coil of this shoelace round the bamboo, and then he had the 2 ends which he held. Now how did he do it? No, he held it between his toes, but he had this bow thing to steady it somehow. It was a right primitive affair, and that's the way he drilled holes in wood. He held the pipe between his... I took it to him, you see, and asked him if he could do this job, if he could bore it through. And he said, yes, but it takes some time. He said a few hours, he indicated to me. It'd just take a few hours. Well, I kept going back and watching the progress, and oh, it was painful. He got about 1/8 of an inch through the bloody stem of the pipe, and I went back again, and he got down to about 1/4 of an inch, you know, and oh, I thought, bloody hell, I'll be off before he gets this bloody job done. But I'd got no alternative. I had nothing I could bore it through with. But it was fascinating to see him to watch him doing this. He sat for hours with his pipe between his toes, and going, like, you know, out with this left and right with this windlass affair to turn the drill. Anyway, after, I think it was well into the following day that I went to see him, poor bugger, and he'd finished the job. And I was really happy, and there was no shortage of tobacco in Burma, because they used to make these big Burmese cheroots, and in any village you went in, there was no shortage of these Burmese cheroots. So what fellas used to do, were desperate for a smoke, they had to smoke the cheroots, which gave me a bloody headache. It was that strong, the tobacco, because they were chopped up tobacco leaf, roughly chopped up, wrapped in a corn cob sheath. You know, you don't often see them here. You'll get the corn cobs here now, but you don't get the sheath that it was in. It's just like almost like a brown paper sheath, you know, you imagine it. And they used to wrap those round, and that's the way they used to smoke the thing in Burma. They'd fill the loose tobacco in, chopped up tobacco in the sheath, and that's what. And even the women smoked them. Yeah, how they did it, I don't know, unless they didn't inhale. But cigarette smokers, to get any satisfaction, inhale, as I did. And once you start to inhale these bloody things, you got a thumping bloody headache. So I thought, well, I can shred it a bit more, you know, and put it in my pipe and just have a couple of puffs and then put the thing out, you know. Because once you'd lit the bloody cheroot, it was like lighting a cigarette, you know. You couldn't easily just stub it out. Anyway, the thing is this, that I started to smoke this pipe until one day, not long afterwards, we were crossing a riverbed, dried up riverbed, because it was the dry season, and I had a corn, which is another tale I should get down sometime, and the corn was throbbing, and I had a throbbing bloody headache and a thumping headache from this smoking this bloody pipe of this rough tobacco. And we stopped for our halts when we got the far side of the riverbed, and I took my shoes off to ease my feet. I took one shoe off at any rate. I think it was the shoe had the corn on, because it was throbbing that much. And I stuck my foot like a fool in the sand, and of course I had blisters on my feet, and one of the blisters had burst, and I got sand in the blister. Well, we got the order to move, and everybody got up, and we put our packs back on and started off. And incidentally, when you put your pack back on, it felt as though you'd never had it off, because your shoulders ached that much that you got no relief. When you took your pack off, you dropped it on the floor with a clunk, but you didn't feel as though you'd taken the bugger off, because your shoulders were that bloody stiff for carrying it that far. Anyway, when we got going again down this bloody track, I had this pipe in my mouth, and I was marching along with this bloody thumping headache, sore tongue from the bloody tobacco, sand in my bloody blister, and a bloody throbbing corn. And I remember I just took the pipe out of my mouth and flung it to my left as far as I could in the bloody bush. And I thought, well, thank Christ that I thought, that's one bloody torment I can do without, you know. But then I thought back on this poor bugger that had spent about a day and a half drilling the bloody holes. Of course, the corn was caused by my first pair of army boots at the start of the war, just before the war started, in fact. And it was on the outside of my little toe on my right foot. And I got used to this thing. I think the opinion then was, if you had a corn, you had it for good. And that's the opinion of most people. Because I remember when I used to work for the pawnbroker before the war, women used to come in the shop and complain about corns. And I got the impression that once you got a corn, you couldn't really do much about it. They used to talk about pairing them, and nobody went to chiropodist in those days, not in the working class at any rate. And people used to pair them and say, oh, they're okay, eases it for a while, and then the corn grows back again, you see. So as I say, I got the impression that there's nothing much you could do. And this was supported by my own experience, because after I got the bloody corn, I just put up with it. And it became a damn nuisance, because of course I was doing a lot of marching, And looking back on it now, it's incredible, really. This throbbing bloody corn all the time. It was like having a bloody nagging headache, really, at the other bloody end. And in India one time, the medical officer announced that he was going to run a chiropody course for his medical orderlies, you see. He was going to teach them how to deal with foot troubles. And it's incredible now to think that the army wasn't organised in this respect. They didn't have a chiropodist, bear in mind. They had a medical officer. Each battalion had a medical officer, but there was no bloody chiropodist. So the medical officer put a notice on the notice board to say that if anybody had any foot troubles, corns, callouses or whatever, that they could go on a Tuesday and Thursday afternoon and get them attended to while he instructed this class, you see. So I put my name down and I appeared one Tuesday afternoon for treatment for the corn. Well, it seems queer again that it should be me. I don't know how many fellas went for treatment for corns in particular. But the medical officer had me out in front of the class, and he had a scalpel, and he was paring away at this corn of mine. And as he pared away, he said to the class, "On no account must you draw blood. If you do," he said, "if you happen to nick the toe and draw blood, then pack up right away and wait until it heals before you have another go." And as he said that, he nicked me bloody toe. And I'm sure that was just to demonstrate to them that it was important, in case you got any infection in it, that once you slipped up and drew blood, that you should pack it in. Well, naturally, I was left then in a position where I thought, well, to buggery with this for a lark. It doesn't seem as though it's going to be successful anyway, the treatment, so I put my boot and sock back on, and that was the last he saw of me. Well, it wasn't the last, because this will come further in the tale. I was determined not to go back, you see, for this treatment. So, sometime later, I was lying on my bed one hot afternoon in India. It got that hot in places on the plains, and we were under canvas then. But we couldn't do anything in the daytime. The sweat just poured off you. So we used to be up about 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and we used to do a few parades or training exercises or whatever there was. And then after breakfast, the day was ours. We went back to bed because you couldn't make use of it really. As I say, you were just sweating. And then after tea at night time again, there'd be another few parades when it went cooler. Well, as I say, in the heat of the day, this particular afternoon, I was lying on my bed and I heard this almost a wail coming down the lines, and it sounded something like this: Cornwallow, ingrowing toenail. And at the end of every utterance, this bloke, reached a higher pitch with his voice. And I was curious. I thought, what the bloody hell's this coming down? Well, I looked outside the tent and I saw this little Indian bloke with a little attaché case walking up the lines between the two rows of tents. So I collared him and I showed him my corn. And he had all the typical Indian bullshit on his on the side of his case, bloody expert in this, that and the other. So he motions to me like Achya Sab, that means to say that, oh, very good, very good. And he undid his case and he took out a little cone-shaped thing. It was like I don't know what it was made of, it was like bone really, but it was cone-shaped and there was a hole, it was like a tundish. A small one. And what he did, he put the narrow end of the tundish on the corn, And then he sucked the other end. And he showed me. I didn't feel anything bad, not much anyway, apart from the normal throbbing, but he showed me this little hard piece of stuff and he told me that was the corn. Well, I don't know what the hell he'd done, because I didn't see any hole in my toe where the corn had come from, you know. And I can't remember now just exactly what happened, whether he put a plaster on it or what. All I remember is this, that a few hours later my toe was throbbing. I paid the bloke, bear in mind, I paid him for the, you know, supposed to be for curing me bloody corn. And as I say, a few hours later I tried to put my boot and sock on and it was bloody hopeless because my foot had swelled up that much. I thought, oh Christ, what do I do here? So I went sick, reported sick, on a special sick parade, which you could do in the army, but they didn't think much of it unless you were pretty seriously ill. You know, you could be charged, in fact, with malingering. So I thought, well, there's nothing else for it. I can hardly put my foot on the ground. So, as I say, I reported sick, and when I got into the medical officer, I took my boot and sock off, and he just had a look at my toe, and he said, have you been letting that black enamel bastard give you treatment for your corn? He led off, you know. He knew all about this bloke. And I denied it, you see. I said, oh no sir. I said, it's just that it's happened, I've had this corn for a while, you know, and I'd tried myself, you know, to pare it and this and the other, but anyway, whether he believed me or not, I don't know. But the outcome was that I still didn't get any relief from this bloody corn. I still had the corn after all that, you know. And this again seems incredible, this tale, because after the war I was still left with my bloody corn, and I was out of the army then, and I went to see a pal of mine in Yorkshire, in Keighley, an old army mate, and he was living with his